we have a representation from a state which is termed as bowl of rice, Chhattisgarh. Professor Hulas is there. We have Chaudhary Charan Singh University, Hisar in Haryana Agriculture University, and then animal husbandry. Because in recent years, when we say the entire agriculture sector, the pie of animal husbandry, in the GDP, it's rising. So we have the lead institution from IVRI represented by Dr. Bablu Kumar, and then from the deep south we have Professor Bibala Hussain Reddy from Andhra Pradesh. So I think the panel is quite a good mix from different parts of the country. So the core theme is that how institutions, like we are the higher education institutions, and the role of education institutions in building the entrepreneurial ecosystem has grown in recent years. So I'll come to one by one, to start with, to understand that how your university, your educational institution has played a role in strengthening this ecosystem. So you can share a few experiences and how the institution has built upon this entire entrepreneurial ecosystem, and what is the plan for the future. So let's start from IGKB, since you're there,
okay.
Dr. Hulas Pathak. We are privileged to have all of you, so please.
Thank you, Ra, and good afternoon to all of you, distinguished panelists, my Ravi colleagues, distinguished faculty members from the IIM Kashipur, Madam Akriti, and ladies and gentlemen. So Ram has put the context very well for this panel discussion, and all of us representing some higher learning centers of the country, in different parts of the country, doing our bit to contribute to the cause of entrepreneurship development, in particular in the field of agriculture and allied sector. Just to explain the kind of evolving nature of the institutes like ours in recent years, and to transform the great potential that exists in the field of agriculture and allied sector in our country, which has not been fully harnessed so far. And I understand agriculture is like the sleeping giant of our economy. And if you look at the context in which India got its independence and the need to become food self-sufficient, and our revolutions in terms of different food products and commodities, and is still continuing, we still remain largely a food importing nation in terms of our oilseeds and pulses, in spite of a number of missions. So obviously the context for making India self-sufficient was set through the Green Revolution, and that is where a lot of SAU systems and the ICR institutes came up, where the focus was on developing quality HR that would contribute to the cause of agriculture development of the country, and we were not an exception. We were the only agricultural university in the state of Chhattisgarh, which, as Ram said, is well known for its rice producing and the great variability in terms of our rice germplasm, which is second to none in the world, some 23,000 varieties of wild rice, which is again a bedrock for rice-based innovations in the country. So the shift from the mid 60s to 70s and 80s and now into 2000s has obviously how to add incremental income to our peasantry, to our farming community in terms of where we are. And it is very, very I would say pathetic in the sense that we are suffering from what I call 80-20 and 20-80 syndrome, where bulk of the land is available to the minuscule people of our farm population, and most of our people, depending on agriculture as their livelihood, depend on a very less amount of land available to them. So the economic complexities are enormous in terms of how to address the whole objective of adding incremental income to our farming community. And this is where entrepreneurship and innovation, rather innovation-led entrepreneurship, can play a big role. So as university, we are one of the better known universities in the country, among some 74 universities SAU in the country, and we are about 16th ranked in the ICR system until a couple of years ago. We are well connected. And in terms of the students enrollment, I understand this is among the largest university in the country. So 11,000 students are enrolled in our UG, PG and PhD programs. So in terms of developing HR, that's not a big problem. But where will this big HR going to go to the economy if they do not contribute. Government jobs are not going to come by. So the university has realized that we need to have an institutional mechanism, regardless of the external environment, in which there is a big macro policy push from the government of India also for programs like the RKV, Raftar and beyond. So what we have done is created an internal system wherein we are offering our students through our iIncubate mechanism, where right from the second year onwards, if a student has some innovative idea where he or she wants to work, they can always get the entrepreneurship support institutionally from the university, and it's also offered at the PG and the PhD level. So the university offers all its strengths in terms of laboratories, manpower, mental pool, and technological resources to these students who are basically drawn from the rural areas of Chhattisgarh, and of course from throughout the country under the ICR 15% quota system as well. So that is one mechanism, and of late we have been very open to the external schemes and government programs. Madam Akriti was talking in the morning about the government schemes and how this ecosystem is developing. So we are happy to be playing a small part in this. The RKV Raftar program in particular I would like to mention, which I am also heading as the CEO there. So in that particular program, since 2018-19, we are into this, and up till now as I speak, we have incubated successfully, if I may say so, as per the guidelines of the program, some 250 startups, which I suppose should be among the highest in the country for SAU Rabi system. Now, out of this, these startups represent different domains, including supply chain, precision farming, IoT, AI, and of course, a host of other domains. And we are not limiting ourselves to these areas alone. We are leveraging our networks throughout the country and beyond to reach out to our startups in terms of taking their entrepreneurship journey forward. Secondly, close to 100, if I will include the ongoing cohort as well, startups have been recommended for fund support to the tune of almost like 7.79 CR, which again is very impressive among the the host of RKV partners, if I talk about. So through this humble beginning, what we have been able to achieve, if I may say so, in our regional startup ecosystem in particular, there is now a buzz in a state like Chhattisgarh, which is otherwise not economically so advanced. And again, it's a very dichotomous situation. There is a popular saying about Chhattisgarh. People call it, poor people from rich land. So in terms of natural resources, it is among the most endowed states in the country. Mineral resources, forest resources, and beyond. So what I'm, consciously trying to make an effort is to, support those kind of innovations through this program, which actually add to the local economy and try to solve the local problems. So that is where we are, under the leadership of our, knowledge partner and all our fellow Rabis and the local support from the government in terms of policy instrumentation, etc. We are trying to do this consciously, and I'm happy to share with all of you that through this mechanism that is now available to a lot of innovators, and many of them from very humble beginning, we were hearing to Nikhil, and likewise there are many success stories in our place as well. They have been able to garner investment support of close to 50 crore rupees.
That's it.
Yeah, and thousands of innovative products have come into the market, and most heartening part has been, through our experience, is that almost like 1/3 of the entrepreneurs are coming from the women folks. So that is very heartening to see in a place like Chhattisgarh, I would emphasize, and almost like 3/4 of the total startups incubated come from the regional startup ecosystem. So university has taken this particular program very, very ambitiously, and we are housing, in terms of facilities, we are offering the co-working facilities, besides, giving them technology support and the pool of mentors that we have. And I'm very, very, excited to see such a thing unraveling in Chhattisgarh. I would compliment the Ministry of Agriculture for supporting a program like this and developing a mechanism to bring forward, the people who can make a difference, and definitely I do not have a formal presentation, but there are many number of success stories that have come out of this table of the RKV Avatar at IGKV Raipur. So these are some of the few initiatives I would like to share now with our fellow panelists for want of time. Otherwise, there are other fellow panelists also to speak. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
But it's like, Chhattisgarh being a state, at the same point of time it was created when Uttarakhand, where VR was also created. So it's good to see that an institution taking the lead in building the regional ecosystem that is largely dependent on the agriculture like us.
True.
So kudos to IGKV and that the Rabi Incubation Center, sir.
Thank you.
I'll come to Dr. Rajesh Gera, sir. Sir, you were placed in Haryana, which is entirely a large, say, the big grains are, largely it supports the entire country. So how the incubation center as an agriculture university at your place supporting startups from that region or from other parts of the country?
Very good afternoon. So first of all, I'm highly thankful to the organizers for giving us opportunity to join this program and being the part of the panelist on very important issues like role of higher education system and agriculture universities and agripreneurship. So most of the things that have already been explained by Professor Ullas that regarding role of SAUs in bringing green revolution and all those, the main agriculture universities, Pantanagar Agriculture University, as you were saying, other agriculture, IIR, IE and HAU, they just played a very important role. So as this type of work is already going on, that these universities, they are mainly focusing on the research and extension program, teaching research and extension program. So in research, whatever the varieties we are developing, we are just percolating it to the farmers through our KVKs, through extension programs. But our university also thought I think last 3-4 years back, that we should give some exposure to the students regarding the varieties or whatever technologies which we have done. Because we have very good research facilities, modern labs and all the, you can say, infrastructure just to help these entrepreneurship and all those people. So we just established Agri-Business Incubation Center. We applied for Atal Incubation Center also and we got a little bit fund, but major funds we received from the NABARD. NABARD was the initial bank who just supported us and they have given us the grant of
Yes, the RKC is there with you.
Yeah.
Rural Business Incubation Center.
Business Incubation Center. And then we got the funds from ICR through Rabi scheme. And as Sir was also saying, Professor Ullas was telling, we have already more than 100 startups. Most of them are from this Rabi program, but some are from the NABARD and other funding agencies also. And they are also doing very good business in all the areas of our agriculture sectors and having a turnover of around 10 CR per annum. So they are doing good. So, but most important thing, the agriculture university which we can play in imparting this or enhancing this agripreneurship, that we can give them the first exposure, training, all the research facilities and in helping them in getting grants from them and initial grant just like Rabi programs. And even university also, we have some fund for the, you can say, young entrepreneurs. And you will be happy to know that last year, our 2 students, PhD students, they just entered into this Agri-Entrepreneurship program. And they have started their own business just after completing PhD. So during PhD, they got the funds. Dr. Akriti, she knows 2 students from our institute, and they got the funds. Initially, we were having some harder university rules and regulation, which we will discuss later on. What are some problems also? Yeah. of these agriculture universities or other higher education, because they have some rules. We will discuss later on those one. So they are playing very important role. Higher educations and our agriculture university, they can play important role in this one.
Okay, sir. Dr. Bablu Kumar, sir. Sir, your theme is quite focused.
Yes, sir.
That animal husbandry has a great future once we say the entire agriculture set theory. If we see, it's a very important subset, the animal husbandry. So, in particular, that theme, have you thought that this is a challenge to support the startups in just being focused in one sector, or you think that this is an opportunity for you also? What is your take, sir, on this?
Sir, you actually nailed very correctly, and that is our main point. So, first of all, good afternoon to all, and thank you for giving me a chance. On a formal note, it is very difficult to talk after Professor Ulas. For last 3 years, it is very difficult to keep our point. But I would start with that. I am representing an institute, 136-year-old institute, and our primary focus was to do research, and it was just built for the eradication of one very deadly disease, one that is the rinderpest, which used to kill 1/3 of the animal of the world. So world was very worried what to do. So all the veterinary research institutes started with this research, being abroad or India. So keeping in a view to control that disease, our institute was established. And I'm happy to know that in India, whatever vaccine and diagnostic we are using today, all of us had been developed at IIM. So at one point of time in 1970s, we used to produce 70 vaccines and diagnostic and supply throughout the world. Matlab easier. So we had the sole supplier. Slowly, what we did, we transferred this technology to industry, and we made their capacity building it, and then we just started developing new products. Still till now, we are producing 12 diagnostic antigen, and some of them, like Brucella, we are supplying to whole medical college of the country. So why I told this? Because our research institute was primarily focused on research. So in the primary days, it was very difficult to make the people understand what is the difference between invention and innovation. So we struggled a lot. What is new in this? Already done. People doing. There are lots of companies who are doing. Then nothing is new. So we struggle hard to make them understand that innovation is something, not the invention. Innovation can be in product, can be in process, can be in geography, whatever this. So initial challenge was this, how to convince people. The second challenge was it is very difficult to work with the animals because lots of regulatory compliances are there. Whenever we want to even take 1 ml of blood from the animal, we have to go to the biosafety committee. We have to take permissions from the RCGM. So lots of approvals are there. So startups are not coming in the code. They are just limiting themselves to the food processing. But there are lots of opportunity in this, sir. Why opportunity? Not in animal science, in all agri-tech sector. And this is just, all of you might be knowing that in the global hunger index we are 107 amongst 121 countries. So you can imagine what is the scope of this sector. Out of 121, we are on 007 numbers. And it is not only the availability of food, it is the nutritional quality of food is more important. So how the people will get the nutritional food? So we all are looking great hope in the animal sector. Lots of sources are there in forms of milk, meat. So meat is a sector which is very much undervalued because only 2% of the meats are processed in India. In abroad it is more than 90%. 9 million tons meat we are producing and processed are only 2%. So you can imagine what is the scope. Dairy sector are not becoming viable because the feed rates are going higher. So lots of scopes are there how to produce animal feed which will have a sustainable rate so that farmers can produce the dairy. So lots of scopes are there. And what research institute is to do, in the morning I was talking, that startups, they have a solution. But many a times they do not know the problem. That to what they are addressing to. Some of the startup came with us. We have an AI and ML model for diagnosis of a disease, but they were not even knowing what was the positive agent of the disease. So it is very difficult, AI-based disease processing is very difficult for the animals, because animals change their physiological parameters. Different disease, if it is causing in association with some other disease, will cause lots of problems. One startup came with a device that they will detect all type of mastitis only from the single parameter. But when they came to us, it was failing, because there are different parameters in different stages of the mastitis which comes. So institute has a very big role to play in this startup ecosystem, because many a times they are technologically not knowing the exact problem, they are not knowing the animal physiology, they are not knowing the nutritional need in the different stages of the animals. So this educational institute, and we are not very big in the numbers in terms of the number of startups, but we started way back in 2016 from the entrepreneurship development. So we are doing entrepreneurship development in the meat processing, dairy products, artificial insemination, so which can provide the employment to the farmers. And sir, to my happiness, I can say that more than 800 entrepreneurs have been trained, and 25% of them, they have already established their enterprise. Now what we are doing, that those 25% we are converting them to make them the startup. So we are training them with whatever our cohorts are there, and we got this idea from madam, that madam told that this can be a way how that poly startup can come, because many times startups are very raw. They have just the idea, they need to be curated. So we are doing that, we have a pool of that startup. From that pool, we are just training and taking into our programs.
So the actual concept of incubation actually...
Yes. And secondly, sir, what we are doing, our students, as the sir said, so sir got the PhD student. My bachelor student, 3 of them, they have been funded from my project. And they are doing very good in this, our startup field. So there are lots of things that has to be done, and we are still trying to do. So in due course of discussion, might be discussing, because sir will also get the time to discuss.
So one thing is very clear, since the discussion is involving, that we can envision lots of startup coming from the institute only.
Right.
Now it's not just the time that we organize, we conduct a cohort and we invite applications from outside. In coming years we can expect lots of startups, coming from the institutional side. So the discussion is coming up with that. Some PhD students, turning into a startup, then the bachelor student, and they have got fund also. Yes. So this says that the business model is validated from the experts. So that's great, sir. So I'll come to Professor Mukesh Pandey, sir. And I think a few days back, once I visited to his office, I found one gentleman, a very, I can say, an executive status gentleman with a degree from IIT Delhi. He visited him with these startups in helping, for a better market connect or to refine their product.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, the prior speakers, they either come from an agriculture background or a veterinary background. I seem to have missed 2 of qualifications. One is that I'm not an agriculture graduate or veterinary graduate. On the contrary, I'm an engineering graduate. And number 2, I think it's a prior acquaintance with a lady called Dr. Akriti Sharma is mandatory. So I don't know even her. I met her, I'm seeing her for the first time. But well, on a more somber note, you're talking, Mr. Ram, it was not long back, it was only 2 days back. Yeah. So there's somebody or the other walking in at Panna University and wanting to discuss ideas. So what we do is, at any startup that you have to incubate, first of all, the first thing that we discuss is, and right at the ideation stage, because any business that you do has to be viable and sustainable. So what we look at is he identifying a unique consumer need which can be fulfilled or not? And if that is happening, then what is the business model that is going to work at? Now, to start with is, what is the business environment? What is the regulatory framework? The business that he's getting in, does he understand? And what are the competitive advantages that he brings into the table that he has? There might be an opportunity, but does he have the competitive advantage? And the competitive advantage that he's talking about, is it a sustainable thing or not? So the gentleman that you are talking about who was walking in was talking about how to improve the productivity of farmers using IoT. And you may put in sensors and you monitor your crops, but the kind of interventions we realize that they can only be put into high value crops because of the kind of volumes that you can put in. The other day, just a day before, there were a group of young boys who had heard a lot about Pandey University and the incubation program that we have. They started business of herbal tea, hibiscus tea, and a whole range of different kind of teas. So they were thinking about how can we scale up this business. We are doing it on a very small scale level at our business level. So that's the first thing is, do they have a clear value proposition, the kind of functional benefit that they offer, the kind of emotional benefit that they offer, or is it is just a flight of fancy? So that first stage is the screening and debating, because there's no point in getting into something, into a business, and then thinking, why did I get into this? As I said, my larger background is corporates. Before getting into academics for around 15 years, I did sales, branding, marketing. That's what I did. So obviously that I become biased on that point of view. Of course, Pandey University does not need any introduction in terms of the R&D facilities, the back end of the supply chain, all those kind of things that I can do. Another area that the other day there was a gentleman who was talking about shiitake mushrooms, which are high-end mushrooms and which claim to have a lot of medical and functional benefits. Now, of course, you have to communicate that benefit. So there is a whole lot of branding and the marketing and the advertising plan that comes in. But yes, if you have to do it, there is a lot of research happening at the mushroom center. So we connect them to the mushroom center. There are specialized centers there. So we have different centers which are fairly easy to locate on. You can Google and you can locate. And a lot of people who are from this facility they would anyway know what Pandey University is. Now, the second part is, once that has happened, then we try and develop a minimum viable product with these people so that there is a basic product which is ready. And then we talk about the launch strategies as to how you can launch. Other thing that, a lot of things I'll not repeat what my previous distinguished speakers have spoken about, is that we also talk about the products that we have, what kind of USPs, if it is a hibiscus tea or if it is a shiitake mushroom. These are the two examples which we did last 2 weeks that we can work with this, with the farmers. How can we brand your products? Can it be based on geographic branding of Kumaon itself or the Pandey University itself? The second thing is, most of these young entrepreneurs, they have ideas, but they lack funds. So how can we connect them to angel investors or somebody who's a private venture capitalist? Can be basically the resources at government universities either come from NABARD or they come from Ministry of Agriculture. So there are 3 or 4 sources that we all explore. But the idea is to give them professional guidance in terms of the back end of the supply chain as to how you produce, but also at the front end as to how you can market, how you can set up distribution channels, what are the different marketing connects you can explore, how can you go and promote on low cost, how to use digital marketing to promote your products. So these are the kind of things that we are doing. So that's about it largely.
Thank you, sir. And in fact, we have entered into an agreement, and we very much look forward, because as a management institutions, if somebody asks that what are the wet facilities available with that, wet labs, then we completely rely on the facilities of Pantnagar. It's hardly at the distance of 50 kilometers, and they have, I think, one of the largest campus in the country.
In Asia.
So more than, I think, 1,500 acres.
Exact numbers I won't know, but I'm sure that's what I hear. That's one of the largest. I'm sure a lot of people who otherwise study at other places or teach other places would have some kind of connection with Pantnagar.
With Pantnagar. So that facility, also we are leveraging. So thank you very much, sir. We'll come to P. Bala Hussain Reddy, sir. Sir, so say us something about being located in a place which is very religious, Tirupati, and so how your center is leading towards supporting the startups and how it's strengthening the regional ecosystem there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning to all the delegates. So I will just give an introduction about our university since I have come a long way to the north.
Sure, please.
So ours actually is the Andhra Pradesh Agriculture University, which is established in 1964. And it was one among the top 5 universities across in India. ICR ranked institutes. So it happened in 2014, there is a reorganization of the state and then we have to move away from the Hyderabad. It was located in Hyderabad and we moved to Guntur in Andhra Pradesh. So since 2014, we took some time for establishing the university setup and then all these things. So, but apart from that, our university has been very much proactive in taking some activities. It is one of the first university to take up the program called the RAVE, Rural Agricultural Work Experience Program for the sake of the students. Where the students in the last semester will be visiting and staying in the villages. So I think this is the first scheme of its kind introduced by university, because the students generally in the college campus, they may not be knowing what the crops look like or the farmers' problems. So we have introduced this program for the first time. And recently we actually introduced it. I think this is the first time in the country where a university has taken up drone technology, establishing a drone pilot training center, DGCA approved training center, where we are established in our university and giving training for the rural youth as well as the diploma students in agriculture and as well as, so where we can promote the entrepreneurship. And as you know, teaching, research and extension are the 3 wings in our university. So many colleges where thousands of students will be coming outside, and then so the essence of promoting the entrepreneurship has started in 2019 only. We are very fortunate and thankful to Ministry of Agriculture for sanctioning this Rabi to university, and it is established in Tirupati. So this though it is established at university, we are actually serving the entire state of Andhra Pradesh as well as the neighboring state of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, and even some startups from the Maharashtra also. It's not that we are limiting only to of course from Telangana state also. So again, from speaking to our university point of view, there are 4 mega varieties released from our university, and ruling 70% of the rice in Andhra Pradesh is under these 4 varieties only, and 30% of rice varieties in the country is from these 4 mega varieties being taken up by the country, as well as the neighboring countries also like Nepal. So this is regarding our university, sir. Coming to this one, promotion of this startups ecosystem, we started in 2019 and we got more than 1,000 applications till now from different sectors. Of course, Tirupati is an emerging city. It's not a metro city, but most of the innovations are just like what to say, the grassroots level innovations. They are coming from very fortunate that we are getting the ideas from the farming community as well as the students. Of course, the students are from engineering side. Though we are taking up the promotion activities even from the agriculture colleges as well as the engineering and MBA colleges, most of the startups, ideas, people are coming from the engineering side. And of course, with the huge setup of agriculture research and then almost all the departments related to the agriculture, we are able to provide the mentorship for all the people. And 192 entrepreneurs were incubated in our 5 cohorts. Till now we completed 5 cohorts, and we supported 56 agri startups worth of 4 crores till now. And this is the way we are actually supporting, sir. And then it's going on, sir. Of course, we thought of going for Section 8 registration, because without which we cannot expand the promotion of agri startup or startup ecosystem, where we can get some funding from the agencies like DST, DBT, or the CSR funds of the corporates. That is the only option where we can go. And then BRAC also, we have applied for EUVA center. So likewise, this is a new start for the university, because after bifurcation we are struggling in establishing the institutes itself. But this has taken up the pace. Since 2019, the number of applications as well as the promotional activities we are going on.
Great, sir, and hope all the best
Thanks.
So now, one more question from each of you, and it will be related to the thing that we have envisaged about Agri Consortium. So if there is a consortium, Agri Consortium, of HEIs, of higher education institution, what are the top 2 objectives that it should serve? I know that's not for today. This is something on which we say that okay, future is built on this entire thinking and thought process. So what should be the top 2 objectives from each of you, sir? If there is a consortium like this, and this is the first time that such kind of a consortium is being tried to be formed. So what should be the key objective of this Agri Consortium? Sir, we'll again start from Ullas Pathak, sir.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
I really welcome this idea and the whole purpose behind organizing this 2 days event at the behest of IIM Kashipur and taking the lead in actually visualizing that a Agri business consortium of partners in the ecosystem has to be thought about. So to start with, it's a very, very exciting idea. You see, you mentioned about 2 specific objectives. So I will just focus on that only. And as you are aware that India is a beautifully endowed country whose agribusiness potential is absolutely not harnessed. And just to give an indicator to that effect, there are many technological institutes, management institutes, agribusiness institutes, agri-institutes in the country. But there is not a single platform. We were just discussing in the high tea break that if you Google, there is not a single link that you get on a platform that says that it is a meeting platform for agribusiness consortium of this nature. So to that effect, given the great diversity and the agroecology that is there in the country and the individual competencies and expertise of different institutes and who have all done remarkably well in this sector, so we can all build on our regional competencies. For example, I can speak about Chhattisgarh and our strength that we have. So we are pretty smart in harnessing the ITK or the traditional knowledge systems and translating that knowledge systems into creating technologies which could be commercialized. So that is where our university and our system is contributing. So likewise, there are so many other institutes which have their own competencies. Dr. Bablu Kumar was mentioning about the vaccine expertise, and likewise the CABM panelist. So likewise, different domains or expertise required for incubation activity has to be first identified. Identification of regional competencies of all the partners, number 1, and then making that single partner as the stop point for all technological addresses needs. It could be, the business or commercial needs for the management institutes. So this could be taken as one initiative, identification of the institutes with regional competencies, and then how to channelize or make a platform wherein there is a freewheeling exchange of not only ideas, but the shared best practices of the ecosystem. So these 2 things, immediately come to my mind. Other than very well appreciating the fact that it's a very welcome step, and and then as we go on developing this further, the nuances and the final points can be worked out. But to start with, identification and sharing of best practices among the partners could be the starting point for such an initiative. So that's what I would like to talk about at this stage.
Great thoughts, sir.
Yes.
I'd like to also mention that tomorrow also we have a brainstorming session on this entire subject.
Okay.
So this is a trial for that. In fact, this question will be a trial for that. So I'll come to Dr. Rajesh here, sir.
Thank you.
Keeping the Agri Consortium thing in the back of mind.
Thank you, sir. Actually, as Professor Ullas has told, that we were discussing during that tea. So it's a good move. I think it's a fast move, and we should take it beyond this one. So as Dr. Ullas, first identification, and then second is this one. So I would also add one thing in this one. After identification, we should have a meeting. All either through virtual meeting, because physically it would not be. At least we should have one meeting in a month, just to coordinate, just to identify at what stage we are today. So what further we can do in this one, how we can improve. So to hold a meeting, regular meetings, either virtually or physically, and that would be much better. Secondly, I would say that startups which are belonging to particular that region, so they should be encouraged to join that one depending upon their expertise. For example, in our region, arid or semi-arid and hyper-arid zone, abiotic biotic stress, the persons who are working on those one, they are having the ideas relating to combating this. So they should be encouraged to, or rabies also, or you can say a big incubation center, they should be encouraged to give their knowledge, give their expertise to those this one. So at present, I think we can move with these two objectives also.
So,
Obviously, it is a very good move. And from this, what two main objectives I can perceive? One is already tell the identification of the core domain strength. It is the most important thing. And we are facing, all of us might be facing the problem. Somebody has expertise in management and marketing, but they do not have expertise in business and this core domain. So many times at our institute we are facing problem that if startups are not related to our core domain, we are not able, because our institute says that we do not have competency. How can we do it? So this problem can be solved from this consortium. Second important thing, what it can solve is startups are not doing a proper platform for technology validation. So if somebody has a good infrastructure, and if that platform can be used for a technology validation, that can solve a huge problem of the startup that they are facing. And third, sir, in one umbrella, all the technologies related pertaining to the agriculture are brought under one umbrella, so that if some startup want to see and enhance the portfolio of the technology, at one place they can find that these are the technologies that are available, though every innovator are doing from the IIM Institute, but all the agriculture institute, I don't think they are enlisted there. So if all the agriculture institute and related to this, all the technology can be put at one place. Similarly, exchange of mentor, exchange of students, that can be done from this consortium.
but I think to start with, the consensus is being made that identification of our strength is definitely one point.
Yes.
And the theme that we are specialized into this, and if you need any validation on that, we are ready to support. Great. So we'll come to Professor Mukesh Pandey, sir.
Two objectives that I can clearly think of this consortium can bring is something leveraging of synergies. Each one of us would be good in some practices, so we can benchmark the best practices and look at what is the best. So a student who's or a young entrepreneur who's located around Hisar should not be deprived of that knowledge just because that knowledge is not available at Hisar Agriculture University. Pandey University has it, because that's the entire idea behind the consortium. So that's at the back end. At the front end, I think one thing we should definitely do is understand and research on consumer and farmers' pain points. Because if we see Nikhil Tripaঠি's entire business model is based on, because he could research what are the pain points that the farmer has. So he made a very interesting point which made me think. He said, you don't have to be innovative just for the heck of it. You might see a problem which is so obvious right in front of your eyes. Why don't you solve it? So there are a whole lot of series of middlemen, and the farmer doesn't get produced, he doesn't know why to sell. So his entire business model is based on this. Whatever conceptually I could study, but I'm sure there's a lot more depth to it. But I'm saying prima facie, that's what gets to me. So obviously one thing there's a consensus on that we should benchmark on the best practices. At the same time, I do think we should research a lot on the consumer and the farmer pain points, because that's where our answers will come in.
It's almost a repetition of the same thing, sir, because for example, coming to our this one, we are having expertise in agriculture, in all fields of agriculture, but when it comes, whenever startups come from maybe the IT related or IoT related, then certainly we need some other partners who have that knowledge. Then only we can actually make them successful. So I think the consortium should be able to make it happen. That's what my
the cumulative knowledge that they bring in
Yes,
the
sir,
consortium
because
brings in.
everyone has their own expertise. Certainly, it should help because sometimes packing and some startups will be losing their this one, especially in packing and then marketing also, digital marketing also. So maybe the resources somewhere in Punjab or maybe the Delhi, they may be having some resources where they can suggest some beautiful packing methods, which we don't have because we are some emerging cities. So certainly consortium should be able to help this startup ecosystem.
So we have some very good points emerged, out of the panel discussion. And one more thing, I think, which can be which we see happening in near future, that each one of the incubation centers, if I talk in particular, impressive figures are there. More than 50, 60 startups supported. In fact, in some cases, it's more than 100 in last 4 or 5 years. So once we say that, okay, the 56 startups which have graduated from IIM Kashipur in last 4 cohorts, so can we do kind of a sharing of, what a startup which was the part of cohort 1, they are quite mature now. The one who are still there into the market, solving the problems of customers. So the new cohorts joining, they can be provided the access to connect to these startups. Because the thing is that, every startup needs to grow, to reach to more geographies. It's not that, a startup, agri-tech startups, which is there in Uttarakhand, wants to remain with its solution in just this state. They want to go to Haryana also. They want to reach to other parts of UP, parts of, say in the deep south. So can those startups which have been the part of the incubation center, the agriculture institution, can they link, using this consortium with the new startups, the new ideas which are coming into the picture? So I think the consortium can play a big role into that also.
Very good point.
Yes.
Making it accessible to the new business ideas.
But within the incubation center, we are already doing.
Exactly.
The persons
Yeah,
from the first cohort, they are already connected with the second and
But
third.
let's make it available across the incubation centers.
Yes.
That is also one of the thought that we can
Exactly.
include while deciding some of the key objectives of this Agri Consortium. So I thank all of our panelists to join for this very fruitful discussion, that the role of HEI is in supporting the startups, and what should be the core objective for formation of this Agri Consortium. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.